Welcome everyone to Lockhill Trading, and it is Friday again. So we're back at the charts, ready to see if we can trade out our Friday system. If you haven't yet watched the previous 4 videos, then I suggest you do, because that is where I explain in detail what the Friday system is. So before we begin looking at our charts, I just want to go over the Lockhill Trading Discord just super quick. And just show the Bitcoin trade that I gave around the 10th of this month. So you can see this was the setup here. I explained in the video above why it was I was getting long, and you can see this is current price action. We've had a nice move on Bitcoin. So I do give some free signals on crypto and equities, but also analysis every single day around what I'm expecting in terms of bias, etc. I have the funded challenges where I kind of denote where I'm up to. The pass of the 100k challenge there, done in 19 days, 89% win rate, over 6 grand to pass. So a lot of things in there worth seeing, guys. It's completely free. The link is below. And while you're at it, please subscribe. So Bitcoin, just quickly, if we get a daily close below the red, I'll think about closing this trade for, it's a fairly healthy position to exit here, but the equities have started to break down, dollars start to move up after taking an important low. It kind of puts me on that position where I could be going into next week with a risk off bias, which means it's probably worth taking my profits on Bitcoin. Let's hope we go lower. Maybe do we start to consolidate in this zone, and then I'll maybe get long again. So you've got to be quick in this game, you've got to be sharp. So let's get on to NQ then. I'm just going to stop this video here. Keeping these as short as sharp possible. If any of you wizards on YouTube understand or know how best to use OBS to record an iMac, then that would be amazing, because at the minute, guys, every setting I've used, every kind of page I've been on researching what is the best for 4K using OBS, I just cannot manage to get it. Every time I do, it just says encoder overloaded, regardless of what encoder I actually put it on. So comment below, guys, if you're a whiz on how to use OBS. Begin by looking at NQ, and as you can see, it looks as if we've had a one-sided week, which is the first criteria for looking for our Friday system. I'm also marking in here a high time frame key level, because it's an old low where liquidity sits, so that can be the high time frame level that we hit to enable us to build that profile around the system to potentially look for a retracement long. Yep, that's pretty much all we need on that time frame. I'm going to drop now to the hourly, and you can see these are the old lows. I'm also going to map in this old low as well. Kind of at the start of, it's like the start of this consolidation that led to the move to the upside. So 2 points of liquidity here that I'm marking that could be target for today before prices to go higher. Boom. Let's just mark in as well kind of the more local liquidity point, which was Thursday's low. So obviously we want Friday to create the low of the day and the week, and then we're trying to catch that retracement back up. So for now we can't apply our fib because we don't have Friday's low, but if we were to apply the fib to Thursday's low, then this gives us the zone as to which way we'd look for that as the target. And that is really nice because it aligns with the 2 highs we have up here that are rather clean, which we know can become targets because stops are always jammed at those points, because the books tell you to do that, quite simply. Let's put the middle line in. Let's get this nice and accurate, although it's subject to change, of course. Now, could we hold here and go higher? I think we could. but I'm not going to trade that because it's not within the criteria, but there's an opportunity for it to go here and actually Thursday create the low of the week. But we've got a long duration until even the market opens. It's only 3:30 New York time, which means it's 8:30 UK time, so very early in the trading day. So there's no need to kind of rush at seeking an opportunity here. I also, I like the fact that we do have these highs as well as a target to go after, very clean highs. So it really is setting up something I really like. What I don't like about it is this. So if we go back to that weekly time frame, it's been very expansive to the downside, and because of that, we are ultimately swimming against the kind of the tide of this week's trading. Now, obviously not against the high time frame tide, because the monthly and weekly bias is still to the upside. It's very much to the upside. But when you've started to have this real big flush, then trying to kind of, let's say, almost like a knife catch, we're trying to kind of predict, well, what is the low of the week, and then we're trying to get in. And it's going against the order flow and the momentum of this. So it probably will mean I will trade micro, but I might trade, 2 or 3 micros rather than just 1 micro. So I'll decide nearer the time in terms of what price is setting up. But other than that, it looks pretty good. So yeah, it does look, there's potential for seeing this trade for sure. So I'm going to go away and I'll return, particularly if we take out, these lows here and we create a new low of the week. I'll also mark up the same on ES because ES is very similar to this. So see you guys soon. Go through and share a little bit of alpha here. I'm in that mood, so I just wanted to go through something. So I mentioned there how one of the reasons why I might trade MNQ, so micro NQ rather than NQ, is the fact that we are trying to trade against the order flow here. And, well, you could say, well, every single week that we look for the Friday setup, to a degree, we're going to be trading against that week's order flow, right? Because we're trying to catch the retracement on Friday back into the range. So you could say, well, you're always going to be trading that. So how are you ever then going to decipher, when it's okay to trade against the order flow and when it's not? And I use the moving averages and a few different things for that. So obviously on the weekly, we are still bullish. We are trending to the upside. We're still above the 12 and the 21 EMAs here. So this is the 12 and 21 EMAs. And what I will do is I will flick through the weekly and daily to assess where we are. So as you can see, this is fine. So on the weekly time frame, trying to catch the retracement back to the upside is fine whilst we are above the weekly 21 and 12 daily moving average. Okay. If we go to the daily, look how we're now below the moving averages and there's potential for them to cross. Notice how in this entire uptrend, or in the moments where we test here, we have never really got below and closed below the moving averages like we have on Wednesday. And so because of that, there's a potential that the bias for the midterm is to the downside. Now the macro regime still is bullish, and it's something that I am still learning each and every week. Someone that you can learn from in regards to this is a guy called Capital Flows. You will find him on X. I will put his Twitter or his X link in below, and that is Capital Flows. I'm learning a lot from Capital Flows. He is somebody who has a lot of knowledge on what I've just mentioned there, the macro regime, and understanding kind of like the fundamental sides of trading. So, and like I said, that very much nothing's changed in terms of the equities, in terms of the fact that we do look like trading higher. I spoke about in the last video how YM was likely to catch up with the rest of the equities, and look how last week we had the big move and this week a big move, and it has indeed done what I mentioned. Now, as you can see there, we've had an upside week on the let me just remove all drawings from this and we'll start again. Because obviously we traded that as the Friday system last week, but this week we're not going to be, because look how much still we're above the weekly open. So unless we get a huge jump down, which we won't even trade it if we did, because then that wouldn't be one-sided price delivery, would have already had one move to the upside and two to the downside. But there you can see YM caught up with the equities. But let me just go back in. So that is the reason why when we're looking at when is the right time to trade NQ versus micro, in terms of looking at that specific element of, we are always going to be trading every single week on a Friday if its price has been one-sided against that week's order flow, of course. But when to scale up depends on, are you still high time frame on side of the order flow? And let's say on the weekly we're above the 12 and 21, and on the daily we're above the 12 and 21. Let's imagine like this little candle here was a weekly candle, and this was the weekly time frame, and we're above on the daily. Well, then looking for your longing here makes sense, because although you're against the order flow of that week, you're still on side in terms of the higher time frame order flow. Where this here and this breakdown tells me that it could be quite risky to try and trade against this and try and fade this move. So we could get a very flat body today, and we may not actually get the system. But we are closing in now on breaking that low, which is great, because that's what we want to bring our fib into actually getting a new Friday low of the week. So again, market is open and live, as you can see. So yeah, 8:42, 3:42 a.m. very early on. Market obviously opens at 9:30, and the news drivers for today, let me just grab them up. The news drivers for today are, we don't really have one. 10:40 we have some nonsense, basically. FOMC members speaking, but nothing major. So we'll add that in the 10:40, and we'll do it in orange, but nothing major. $10.30 orange. So there we have it. I will return shortly. NQ here, I've just marked up the exact same chart, and I'm looking at getting long here. We've taken Thursday's low, which means we've created the new low of the week. So Friday's low, so obviously the low of the day. We haven't yet taken these points of liquidity, and it may be that we get a retracement first and then go after liquidity later before getting another opportunity. So I'm just looking at this move, and I do like the way that we've had this move away, pull back, held this level, moved away. So there's potential to maybe get long here. I'm just trying to assess what I like better in terms of NQ versus MES. Now, if we go to the daily on MES, let's just in terms of a high time frame level, we said on the weekly of NQU, we took out this low from. Let me just remove this on the weekly. Doesn't need to be there. Doesn't need to be there. So you see the low there that we could potentially trade to. If we look at ES, we don't have that same low. That low is all the way down here. So we could obviously get there today, but that's not the high time frame level of interest available here. But what level we do have is the fact that we have traded through this entire zone to the low end, and now we're back above. So we do have an opportunity here to get long. So I'm going to go with I need to log in, so give me a second, guys. So you're going to get long here. I'd like to have got long where we just dipped in, but because I was logging in, we didn't get the execution I would have liked, but here we go. So we're entered now. A little bit premature. The stop needs to be the low, and we're aiming for that 20% region. And I like the midpoint because that is the current high of the day as well. I'm slightly busy this AM. Obviously it's only 9:15 UK time, so I'm not going into too much detail. I'm going to add some alerts and return shortly. Now, if you want to learn more about the Friday system and how we execute and get into price, watch all of the lessons here that I'll be doing every Friday. And I'm going to start ramping things up, guys, as well, in terms of speaking about psychology of trading, low time frame execution, bringing in some deeper understanding of the macro, and also maybe going into a few different other setups that I use and how I determine bias and stuff like that. But for now, I just want to keep rolling with the Friday system, and I want to paint that picture and give you an understanding that trading can be a lot more simple than most people make out. You have a system, you backtest your system, you forward test it, you trade it with the right risk, and over time you see if it's a profitable system. And if it is, then you are able to gain profits from the market. Now, how you scale that is dependent on what you want from trading. You do not need to be a full-time trader. You don't need to be a part-time trader. You may trade for a hobby sake. You may trade to try and pay for one holiday per year. It doesn't need to be this grand thing where people think, oh, I'm going to be a trader, so I've got to make £1 million per year. You see this sort of thing on Instagram and all these socials, trading's this, trading's that. Trading can be that, of course, if you're at the higher level. But it doesn't mean that to say that you need to overcomplicate it and have 10 different alerts flashing up to get you into price. You've seen 4 weeks of me trading this exact setup system and it reaping profits and good profits as well. And you've seen me do some risk management in terms of when I trade ES against micro ES or NQ against MNQ or YM against YMM. So when it comes to that, risk management is always the crucial element. And we determine what we trade by the nuances in price each week, in terms of, are we with bias, high time frame? Are we against it? Has the weekly candle been one-sided in its delivery? Have we hit a high time frame level? What is then the lower time frame showing? What is the time? What is the news driver? And all these things are just like the nuances that you look for execution on day. So those things I also teach in the Lockhill Trading server, and you'll see that throughout my analysis. And it's there, it's free. And as I spoke, I showed you guys at the beginning of this clip, the Bitcoin trade. I go into crypto as well, and there's different ways I trade crypto. I provide analysis on the DXY each week, which is crucial for determining risk on versus risk off. And yeah, perfect. So I'm just going to stop here, and I'll return shortly and give you an update on how the trade is going. So I've added a few alerts, and I'll return shortly. So I've returned now at 6 AM, which is 11 AM UK time. And, very choppy price action. We've suffered a few spells like this move. In fact, if I just go to the settings and the executions, you will see the buy orders. So this little move down, draw down, then again this area and this area. And we've ultimately failed to get over what I have now marked in as a range high. I've then mapped in the range low. And the two little levels in here, if I go to the 15-minute time frame, you can see that this 15-minute opened and moved to the upside, and it's never had any downside price action. So I always mark them in as areas in price that at some stage I want to see downside price action through this to make it, to colour it in. So I'm aware of that, and ultimately I know that we need to start gaining above this, what is now the range high of this mini range. So I'm using knowledge of ranges here, and I've kind of broke down some basics of range work in kind of the lessons prior to this, but I haven't really gone into too much teaching. I kind of do that more in the Lockhill Trading server. But if you guys want me to start teaching things in more depth, please leave some comments below. And also don't forget to subscribe. And we have range low here, we have kind of like deviate below, but as you can see we held it here, little deviation, held it here. So that's what I'm using as the range low. And if we just apply a fib from that range high then to range low, which I like to do, we can see the midpoint here is also aligned nicely with the 5-minute zone I've marked in here. There's the gap between the candles. We have this expansive move away, creates a gap. The midpoint of that gap is aligned nicely with that midpoint. So ideally now wouldn't really want to be seeing price close below this. If it does, then I actually think we trade lower, and maybe then we don't. This is not a profitable trade. And then I would actually start to think about maybe closing the trade out early and waiting, because obviously we're still 3.5 hours away from the 9.13, because we don't really have a news driver. If we are to start trading lower here, is there anything really going to impulse us back up? I'm not so sure. So we're just waiting. Hopefully we can get that beautiful Friday system to our level. I'm also mindful here of, let's check these off before they get annoying, just the alerts triggering. I'm also mindful of this little bit of a gap here, a little window of price as well. That's probably where I would actually target the first sell. So I'm actually going to separate these. So obviously the first sell needs to go here. Sell 1. And I put sell 2 here. So obviously we're in two orders. Let's see if we can get through this little zone here, or imbalance, whatever people want to call it. And you can see I'm scanning kind of through the 1 to 15 minute time frames. We're just in the 15-minute imbalance with the 1. Again, we've created a little bit of a void there as well on this side of the move, you can see. So price will probably want to colour that back in. When it leaves those little voids, I always look at those intraday. Just little bits of detail that you need to be aware of. And I'll explain why in the Discord and if I do go into some lessons. But again, you know, if you're somebody who comes in and just trades the Friday system, you don't really need to be kind of watching the order flow like this and being aware of this. You can just really be static and say, look, this is my entry because of X, Y, and Z, which I go through again in the Discord, in the Lock Your Trade server and the past lessons. This is the stop loss. This is the target. Boom, trade's on. I'm going to leave, do what I need to do. If it comes profitable, beautiful. If not, it doesn't. And if it's a good trade or a bad trade, I'm going to trade this over a long period of time and let that tell me if it is a profitable system. Not being too bogged down by I need to win this trade and I can't lose this trade. I've risked too much here, so it needs to be, we risk the same amount. Now when it comes to risk management, if you join the Lock Your Trading server, you will find that I have a specific section to risk management that you can download as a PDF. So take a look at that, guys, because that is the most crucial element of trading, risk management. So moving nicely now. The 6 hour candle opening. Sorry, not the 6 hour candle. Can't get my words out today. The 6 a.m. opening candle on the hourly of this has really moved us up nicely, which is exactly what we want to be seeing. I actually went out, guys, previously just to get the lawn mowed because it's a hot day and it needed doing. So I just wanted to quickly get that done. Left this on, left my alerts on. Didn't even need to watch price. Came back, assessed it. I said, okay, cool. Formed a little range. Don't want to be going below midpoint of the range now because obviously you can see here how many times it kind of. Obviously, if this is the range high, we came up here. We came up here, here. Even like this little move here, it's kind of like saying, okay, there's a resistance. We were holding this side of the move. If we're long, we want to break out of this side and gain acceptance above this to go and attack our targets. Now, NQ is doing very, very similar. If you go to MNQ, look. go NQ because I think that's where I did the actual trade. Right, yeah, there we go. And we can now move this to the current Friday's low because we have now taken Thursday's low, so I like to grey that out. And you can see it's moving nicely as well to... You can see it's actually further away from what MES has to do, which is good. We're in the right sort of... little imbalance here on the 5 minute, which I'm aware of. With also the flat body candle here. So I definitely think we get to at least this area up here. Now I'm watching the order flow on this side of the move. So guys, I'm going to stop this there. I know it's close to profit, but I don't want to have the videos too long. I'm just going to stop here. You can see live price action. Like if I take the executions on off, you can see them. 6, 8, 56, 11, 8 up here. So I'll return shortly. And again, guys, just closing on 20 past 6 New York time, 20 past 11 UK time. And as you can see, we've traded up into this area this I spoke about on the 5 minute, and we are struggling to, at the minute, kind of, let's say it's become a little bit of a trouble area. So we're seeing if we can break and gain acceptance above that, and if we do, I'm pretty sure we'll reach at least first target. And if we reach first target, I'll probably then bring stops to break even and pull this guy up to at least midpoint as well, so you can get a little bit more juice out of it. But you know, if we start to fail here, I do see us coming back into the grey region, which is on the 15, would be this zone here that we smash through. And then I'd like to see that hold to then potentially go higher. So if we start to kind of break down here, we'd want to then see kind of like this sort of price action. That's what I'd kind of be looking for. I'd let it wait and play out. But let's just see. Again, notice how I never once move the stop. I'm allowing this to play out, and I'll only kind of move the stop to break even once we get that first exit and we've locked in some profits. And again, very lethargic price action here in the last kind of like last 5-6 minutes, well 10 minutes really. Seems to have reached this first trouble area up here. Certainly see us pulling back into this range before potentially then trading higher. And then if we start to fail this, if say we come down here, start to kind of fail and we break back inside the range, I don't really like the price action then. And I'd probably still hold the trade, but I wouldn't be too confident in it being then high probability, because it could then want to go lower, create a new low, and then retrace maybe closer to 9:30 or even in the PM session. So I'm mindful of that at the moment. So again, I will return shortly. And guys, in the future, you know, these videos will be much more seamless in that I won't kind of need to explain the process of what I do in terms of, you know, going away and coming back and returning. And at some point I will be doing the live streams as well, if I can get OBS sorted. So we're getting that move higher, guys. As you can see, we had a pull back again away from the 5 minute region I've marked out. And we're now closing on this flat wick, and I'm probably going to bring my first TP to there, just because I know that sometimes we can wick through them and really get a violent move away. And that means as well I will bring the stop to break even. If I'm going to remove this and put the stops. So now we've got stops in profit. Yeah, that's done now. Now we're waiting on that third tag. Now, of course, this is the 20 to 30% region which we often target. But in terms of what is it? It's pretty much the same price point, I believe. We have 599, so it's one handle. I might pull this up as we get closer, depending on the candle. But I'm just aware that often these flat wicks can be volatile moves when we tap into it and then we reject away. So again, but you've seen here the Friday system giving that beautiful retrace back into the range. We took Thursday's low, the previous day's low. As soon as we took that, look how we returned. So we went to the liquidity, high time frame point of liquidity, which was the daily. We know that at the same time NQ was looking for that old higher time frame level. ES wasn't, but it's taken out Thursday's low, moved away. We got long in here because we liked it. I like this move away. Explained. Bit of drawdown in here, moved away, but very little drawdown. So just waiting now for the upside move. But we haven't gained in the 5 minute this zone, which I would like to see gained. So I'm just gonna put this up for now. Just after 7 AM New York time, 12 UK time, and exactly as I said, guys, I felt like this would be the trouble area, and we've returned to this area. We've now taken out that little void, wicked into it again, then moved away. So what you're seeing here is me tracking the order flow intraday. I'm kind of trying to build a picture of what is likely to occur intraday. Of course, it takes experience and knowledge. And even if you're in this, you get into the trade and you move away, and like I've mentioned before, that is absolutely fine as well. But this is just kind of something that I would kind of promote, because obviously it builds your knowledge of price intraday. Time frames are colour coordinated. 15 minute time frame is grey. Blue is the 1 minute to up to 5 minutes. 5 minutes is yellow. Liquidity is always black levels. Obviously the green zone is our fib, where we are targeting. We clearly need to overcome this level here on the 5 minute. This level specifically. Not too big a fan of the fact that I've left these little clean lows here. So I'm aware of that liquidity point. So everything on the large time frame is what I also use on the lower time frames. And guys, if your target for the day is, let's say you've set up this trade and you say, right, I'm risking X, and each day I try to gain $120. That is your target. Well, you could take the profit here, $120. You don't then need to reach your first target built on the principle of the system being, we look for a trade and we look to then target the 20 to 30% region. Well, if it already means that you are getting to an area in price that's already reached your goal in terms of a monetary value, then exit the trade. But if you're trading strictly the system, this is my entry and I always target 20 to 30, then that's fine as well, of course. These are all things that you need to kind of gauge as a trader and build a system around that. But we've been in this trade. What time was this trade? This was 4:15. So closing in on 3 hours duration. Very little, movement in price really. Very choppy. As you can see, look how it came into the this was a range high, acting as resistance. Look how for now it's been acting as support. And I mapped out, remember, these regions prior to we coming back down into here. I mapped out this grey zone, then the blue zone, and then obviously the void that's here. I'm straight into that void, as you can see. Sorry if you can hear the background noise, guys. Hot day, windows open, and hopefully soon I'll be getting out and enjoying it if we can actually get to target. I want to see how we react to this little wick high as well here. Still over 2 hours away from the market actually being open. Need all these charts. Let's go to ES. Just quickly go to ES. I just want to quickly go to ES to I just want to quickly go through what we've done so far. So we came in, of course, we marked in the weekly open. We spoke about how on the daily we had traded into this zone. Daily for me is red. So traded into that, which is the high time frame area of interest. We also took the level of liquidity from the previous day's low, which was Thursday's low. So I'll put PD low, which was taken. We then drop into our hourly or 15. See there? Once that previous day's low has been taken, and we, for whatever reason, speculate built upon what's occurring in the lower time frame, which requires the knowledge I discussed inside the Lockhill Trading Server Discord, which is free. We can then attach our fib. That fib gives us a target region that we are looking for to see price retrace to, and it becomes then our target if we are to get into a long, if the lower time frames provide us opportunity to get long. We are using micro because of a few different reasons in relation to it's not exactly high probability, because we're trying to trade against the order flow of this really aggressive move down, which we've seen all week long. And as you can see, if I just put on the session breaks, which delineates each day, Monday, Tuesday was upward move, but then Wednesday and Thursday we've really traded lower. This is where we are in price now. This was the grey zone that I mapped in on the MES chart that I want to now see hold to try and fuel price higher to our targets. And there we have it. That's pretty much what we have gone through. The yellow zone was this little point in price here on the 5 minute. And that is where we're at right now. So just a little recap there. Again, I will come back shortly. The time is 11 minutes past 7 New York time. It's later and we're at some nice expansion away. So again, we're just waiting now for this gain of this yellow zone on the 5 minute, and then I feel like we will definitely be taking full profits. wouldn't really want to see this reject again and trade back lower. Time is 7:21, 12:21 UK time, and we're just approaching now, look, the flat body wick here. So if we get over that, I'm going to take the first exit. So there we go. Let's see if we close. That's where I want the exit. Boom. Which is pretty much the target, the green zone there. I just wanted to make sure we get the fill. So that's one. So we just need to now take the sell stop down to one stop, and we're going to now target the 25%, but also just below the 25% is this void. I don't want to see price go back below here really. I'd like to see it really start expanding higher. So we've already taken a partial. Partials always pay. See, we've got in two positions here. We reach the 20-30% delineation. So if I just take off, sorry, I just go to the hourly. There you go. There is the beautiful Friday system at work once again. Occurred last week on YM. If we go over to YM. And we just replay the previous week. We map in what was the weekly open. Go like to the hourly. As you can see. Just at reverse. See how it traded back in. Now actually, we took a different trade to that. We took the AM trade, whereby I believe it was... Let me just put on the session break so I can tell. You can watch the video, of course, guys, which is a greater detail. Let's just go back to MES quickly, because we are moving higher to the void. This is looking quite promising. So for now, I'm just going to move this up to the high end. Put an alert just above the void while we look at YM just quickly. So we were here last week. It was this, wasn't it? Here, look. So just go on the replay tool back to where we were in price. This was the Friday. I applied the fib to here. And we got short somewhere in here, right? And we ended up getting a real nice move there in that wick to the 20% where we took the exit. Beautiful trade. And then it actually, and I noted that I would return, but I was very busy. And I said that actually we may get a PM opportunity if it goes higher to actually catch the trade once again. And that's exactly what we ended up seeing in that move there. The high was put in at just at 130, and then it traded lower the rest of the day, and this big candle at 3:30 sent us lower into the 20 to 30% region. So we've done the exact same here, but on the flip, where, as we've seen, ES has traded lower all week long, one side delivery, taking 30 days low, boom, move up into the 20-30% region. So now you are seeing me come every Friday doing this live on the fly, stating what I want to see and trading it. I'm building more in each week, like some of the lower time frame stuff, the range work, the voids, bringing in news, and all of those like intricacies through this as well that you're learning. So there we have it, guys. Take the replay tool off this, and you can see like we're getting a bit of a pullback here, likely because of what we've reached the 20% retracement zone where we often respect. But hopefully we can go up into this void. Now what I'm cautious of here is On ESU, we don't actually have that void, as you can see there. So I'm aware of that actually. It's just on the micro chart that means that we have that void. Basically a gap in price. Look, you can see there's no data in there. There's no price action within that moment there. And like I say, I don't want to see price above the yellow. I'm just going to bring my stop to here for now. But I definitely don't want to see price go below here. If it does, I'll probably take a stop in profit. I'd like to see this continue to expand away from this area where we are now and really target higher kind of prior to the 9:30 open. But as you can see there, when I go over to the sell, a little arrow will come up. Settings. Flick the executions on and off. Live trading, as you can see. I do quite like this high, the fact that this is the current high of the day. It's at the midpoint basically of the 20 to 30% delineation of 25%. I wouldn't be surprised if we do target there. Looks like we also do have that void up here as well. So it might just be a bit of low volume on the micro chart. So again, I'll stop here and see what we get. If we end up closing out, I'll show you guys, the remainder of this trade. I'm going to exit this trade here. I'll tell you the combined profits in a moment. But I'm going to exit the trade, and the reason I'm doing so is I've got a few things to get on with, and also I don't want to kind of get caught into you guys seeing this and trying to get more than the 20%. The way that this price has traded from this low all the way up has been very, very choppy. So if you sat through all of this, now you've reached your target, and then you just think, well, I'm going to try trading into this void or a little bit higher, or the 25%, and then all of a sudden it's back down here. It's not wise trading. Now, there's times I would leave this, but the fact we've got no news driver today, we're still over, we're 2 hours away from market open. Now, of course, this could be premature, and price may trade higher. Like I said, I do think we end up taking this high. But I also noticed that we have these two clean lows below here, and I do see us also at some point trying to get back down here as well. So sitting in this trade any longer, when it's actually traded our system, we look for the 20% as a target. We've reached it. Take profits, move on. So, like I said, I've got a few bits to crack on with after a really successful trading week. Now, I just want to explain one thing in regards to the Friday trading model. So, imagine you trade part-time, you trade full-time, I don't know. But the Friday trading system is a trading system that I specifically use on a Friday, as you can see here. And I use it most Fridays, or I say it most Fridays, but when it's available, I will look for it, like I've been doing for the last 4 or 5 weeks. And it can be really nice because, let's say you had a down week where you're down. It doesn't really matter what kind of dollar value I say here because everyone's account size will be different. But let's say you're down $250 and you have a rule where you will not go past $400 loss per week. So on Thursday you're at $250 and then you go into, let's say, the PM session and you're looking for more trades on Thursday. Well, if you are looking at the chart and think, Friday's system may be available. So rather than me trading the PM on Thursday and trying to weather some drawdown, you're at $250 loss, 400 maximum, stop, wait for Friday. If you have high confidence in Friday setups, then wait. And what I mean by that is the Friday setup can be really nice because it's the end of the week and actually it can pull you back in profit. Of course, this is not to say that every single week that the Friday setup is going to play out and you're going to be profitable every single week. But as you're seeing here, it is a very, very good and very, very simple system to trade with that can be really nice to get you back on side if you've had a down week. So waiting for that Friday system, if it's there and available, because obviously on Thursday, when I'm watching price trade lower, 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 so yesterday obviously we traded down here, we had that retracement here, I'm saying, well, you know what, we've closed up here. Well, isn't it very likely then that Friday comes lower like it has? And or at least it gives you an opportunity whereby, let's say Thursday was here and all the way it closed all the way back up near the weekly open, then I know that Friday is not going to be an opportunity to trade the Friday system, and therefore I may need to start thinking about trading in the PM session if there's a trade available. I'm just giving you scenarios here, and kind of how this Friday setup is a really nice system for also mitigating loss that you've maybe been through all week or maybe all month. And as you can see here, nice little move away. So we may end up trading higher, like I say, but I wanted to get out of this trade, locking the profits, and go from there. So there we have it, guys. Another week trading the Friday system, and before 9:30 again. So note that in your journal, guys, the opportunity to trade it even before the market opens. We may come up, we may come all the way back down here, create a new low again, and trade again back to the 20 to 30% region of a new low that gets created. Or this could be the low of the week in, and we go and trade a lot higher, to even maybe target the 30% region. And that 30% is really quite nice. Why is it nice? Because it's also quite close to this kind of intraday high that got created yesterday on the move down. And all that would then be is a larger trading range. We've got the range high, the range low. We'll trade it down, and then we'll go and trade to the upside. So just like I mapped out here with this little mini range here, we may be seeing that on a bigger scale, because this is how price evolves through a move. So there we have it, another profitable day, and I'll just grab up the profits in a moment. $172.76 profit, and I am covering up, of course, my account numbers and codes, because what I'm doing here is already a huge favour to you guys without me giving away opportunities to be getting into my account. Now I want to guess messing, guys, but can't be too safe. So yeah, 172.76, and as you can see, look, this is the account. Look at the executions. Friday setup, boom, exactly as I teach it there and then. And again, guys, this is never ever financial advice. I am teaching you a basic setup here. The idea is every Friday, it kind of gives that understanding that you don't need to be trading every single day of the week. Trade when your setup's there. When it's there, we trade it. When it isn't, we don't. So there we have it, guys. 172.76 profits. And it is now 1:45, so I'm going to go enjoy the sunny rest of the day. Turn at market open. So market open was 6 minutes ago. But I just want you to pay close attention to kind of all the price levels intraday that I point you towards. So the first one, of course, we were looking at potentially exiting our second contract at the void, which would have been perfect, because as you see, look how we traded up into it, and we immediately traded, so from 601 to 592, so like nearly 10 handles away. We then traded back higher, took out that little high I mentioned here, didn't quite make it into this upmost void, and then we've traded all the way lower. And I mentioned how earlier I mentioned that there was a flat candle that price could target. Did it? Yes. 2 clean lows, did price target in this downward move? Yes. And then I also, at the very start of the clip, I spoke about how this flat candle, which you could see better on the 5 minute there, had no downside price action, and very similar on the 15 minute as well. You could see it there. Look how I've traded down to that at the 9:30 open to clean that up. So all the little nuances I've spoke about are not random, guys. And as you can see, guys, beautiful exit on the whole around our 20% target. So that probably concludes this Friday's trading, unless I get something in the PM session whereby we go and create a new low and it gives another 20 to 30% retrace. I may indeed return for that, but if not, see you next week, guys. I hope you've enjoyed.